Good morning, everybody. I'm not going to call this a review, but more of a first look at this 3,000 watt hour portable power station from Comvolt. My goal with this video is to introduce this underrated brand and give you a detailed look at this portable power station. I want you to feel like you're getting a hands-on look at it. And then I plan on making a follow-up video probably in a few months after I've used a little bit more. And then in that video, I'll talk about its functionality, reliability, and any little details that maybe I've noticed after using it more. In this video, we're going to take a look at what comes in the box, give a detailed overview of the power station, and go over the specs. And again, my goal is for you to really have a good understanding of what this power station can do. Let's start with the unboxing. So I'll be honest, when I started taking some of the stuff out of the box, I had no idea what a lot of this was, including this piece. This one is for jump starting the car. We'll get more into that. And then this one I didn't know what it was either, but this has to do with charging the power station from the car. And then these two pieces here are also for charging it in the car. So is this one. We'll get into that. And then in here, another one that I had no idea what it was for, and it's also for charging it in the car. And then as we get into this other box here, that looks kind of like a jump starter. And then the rest of these packages that I'm taking out here, these are for charging the power station in a wall charger, or a wall plug at home. So we'll go into why there are two of them. And then let's get this stuff out of the way and get to the main prize here. Oh yeah. I better turn that around so we can see the logo. There it is. Thumbs up. Before we talk more about all the accessories that came with it, let's take a closer look at the power station itself. On the top, it's got a handle for carrying it. All of the ports are on these two sides. On this side, which I'm going to call side 1, we've got our USB ports, one USB-A, one USB-C. The power button for the unit, which is here, needs to be on, but there is also a separate power switch for the USB plugs. It does support fast charging. Then we've got the two 12-volt DC outputs and a bright LED light, with the switch for that being here. Below that, there are two 14.4-volt XT90 ports. I know these would be used for charging the power station, but these ports also do support discharging. And then below that, I'm assuming these are vents for airflow. Also right here in the middle is our screen, and you can push this battery button even when the power station is off to see the screen. In the top left, we can see the remaining battery capacity. Here it shows us the real-time voltage. This is the battery's current status. Then this is the real-time current. Over here in the top right, it shows us the residual capacity and the real-time temperature. On the left, there's a battery meter for 50 to 100%, and then the remaining 0 to 50% is on the right side. This is an image of the different battery statuses that you could possibly see. And then you can hit the cell button to see the cell voltage, but I'm too dumb to know what any of that means. On side 2, we've got two 3-prong AC outlets, an Anderson input and output, so it supports charging and discharging. This is a test port. These are communication ports, and it says they would be used to set battery parameters and provide battery data for external communication. This is an XT60 solar input for solar charging. And then we've got the on and off switch for the AC ports, and here are the cooling fans. This is a lithium iron phosphate battery with a voltage range of 11.5 to 14.2 volts and a nominal capacity of 2,944 watt hours. Let's talk a little bit about the weight and dimensions of the Comvolt power station. So the unit weighs in at 51 pounds. When I first took it out of the box, I was thinking about how heavy it feels, but the only other power station I've used that's even close to this amount of watt hours is 1000 watt hours. So this one being 3 times that, I decided maybe I should compare it to some of the competitors. This is a chart I made comparing this Comvolt power station with the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max, the EcoFlow Delta Pro, we've got the Bluetti AC240, and the Jackery 3000. So these power stations range from 2000 watt hours to, what do we got, 3600 watt hours. But if you take a look at the weights, we've got 51 pounds. The closest is 50 pounds, but that is a 2000 watt hour power station. And then we've got a 3600 watt hour power station weighing in at 99 pounds. The Bluetti AC240 is very heavy, especially for the watt hour capacity. And then the Jackery 3000 would be the closest, weighing in at 64 pounds. Same watt hour capacity, but still 14 pounds heavier. And as we get into the dimensions, I don't have them memorized, so I'm going to be looking at my little cheat sheet here. I'm not going to just read them all off because we'll have them right here on the screen. But as you look through and see, just looking at the dimensions, the Comvolt is definitely smaller, significantly, than all of the other ones. I'm kind of comparing it most to the Jackery 3000, since they are the only ones on there that are both 3000 watt hour power stations. So that is definitely a bonus to be able to fit it in more places. And then lastly, while we're comparing, let's also just take a look at the price. So today is September 10th, and these are the prices that are currently listed on the company's websites. So as you take a look, the only ones that are less are the 2000 watt hour power station, and then the one that is not even 2000 watt hours. I do want to mention briefly that the Comvolt one includes an accessory that EcoFlow sells for $200, and that is the alternator car charger, and we'll get a little bit more into that in a moment. But if you add that $200 accessory to the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max, then that puts it at $15.99. But anyways, all right, yeah, I guess that's enough about the pricing for now. So prior to this point, I think we've gone through a decent overview of the power station, and I want to go into a little bit more detail. So we'll start with information about charging the power station itself. So first we'll talk about wall charging. Out of the box, this power station includes 2 fast charging wall chargers. You can use one or both at the same time. With both, it will charge twice as fast. During charging, the LCD display will light up to indicate that it is charging, and it will turn off automatically after charging is complete. No power switches or anything need to be turned on while the power station is charging. The power station has this built-in intelligent software. It's a BMS, battery management system. So once it's fully charged, it will automatically cut off the charging to protect the battery from being damaged by overcharging. So basically, if you plug it in and charge it overnight, you don't have to worry about it overcharging. You don't have to unplug it as soon as the battery is full. To charge the power station in the car, at first this was very confusing to me, but now that I've got it figured out, it makes a lot more sense. And this is where we'll get into the charging with the alternator. And I didn't realize it came with that, which is pretty awesome. So if I'm understanding this correctly, there are 2 ways to charge this power station in the car, and they both involve this accessory right here. Hence why it was a little confusing at first. So assuming I have this right, the simple way would be by just plugging it into your 12 volt or cigarette lighter port in the car. To do that, you would need to take this end of the DC plug and insert it in here, and then close this to secure it. Then plug this charging cable into here. This end will go into the power station, and then this end will go into the car. And again, as long as I'm understanding this correctly, the more advanced way to do it will require a one-time installation. but then you will get a much higher powered charge by using the alternator. So when your car is running, it'll charge off the alternator. I haven't quite looked into this yet, but I do know that it involves wiring this piece to your car battery, connecting these wires to the charger here, and then this one would still plug into the power station. Solar charging. This power station can also be charged with solar panels. It has a built-in MPPT charge controller. The user manual says that they have their own foldable solar panels, but I don't see them on their website yet, at least as of the time of recording. I already have a 100-watt solar panel on the roof of my truck, so that's what I will be using. I have not tried setting that up yet, but I wanted to mention, per the user manual, it does say if you're using your own panels, make sure the operating voltages range from 20 to 45 volts and power them within 400 watts. All right, now we're going to get into a little bit more detail of each of the ports, and I'm going to have to use my notes because I don't have all this information memorized yet. But as we mentioned before, this power station has two 12-volt cigarette lighter or DC output plugs. The maximum continuous output current is 10 amps, and it can support 15 amps for short durations under 5 minutes. The output voltages of these sockets meet the power supply voltage requirements of all 12-volt electrical appliances. The XT90 port, honestly, I am not too familiar with XT90, and I don't think I have anything that I would be plugging into here. But these ports can support 12-volt high-power DC appliances. A single XT90 can withstand 40 amps or 500 watts of current. Hopefully that means more to you than it does to me. It's got an Anderson port, another one that I'm not too familiar with, but it has 12 volts of output DC power. A single Anderson interface can withstand 120 amps or 1500 watts of current. USB ports, finally something that I'm a little bit more familiar with. It has one USB-A and one USB-C. And as I mentioned before, it's got this power button, so you can turn on and off the power to the USB ports, but the power to the power station as a whole needs to be on. We've got two AC plugs, more outlets that I'm familiar with. The AC switch also has its own power button represented in green. But again, the power to the entire power station would need to be on. The max AC output is 1800 watts. Per the manual, when the power reaches about 900 watts, the fan will kick on to control the temperature of the inverter. The power station has a built-in high-power pure sine wave inverter, and it was designed to improve conversion efficiency and reliability, and also to reduce the heat output. We're almost done here, but there's one more really cool feature that I want to talk about. You might remember back when I was doing the unboxing, I pulled out a couple of cables that look like jumper cables. Turns out they are jumper cables. That's right, this power station can actually function as a jump starter for your car's battery. I have not tried this yet, but I did look at the instructions of how it would work, and it does look pretty simple. So using these clamps that came with it, you go under your hood, you're going to connect the red clamp to the positive pole of your battery, then you're going to connect the black clamp to the negative pole of your battery, and then you just plug this end into any of the XT90 plugs on the power station and attempt to start the car. So there we go, there's a good use for one of the XT90 ports on the power station. Per the manual, it says if it doesn't work, wait 1 minute and then try again. After the car starts, remove the wiring immediately, first by unplugging the XT90 cord, and then the red clamp, and then the black clamp. I will primarily be using this power station in my Jeep for a lot of our camping and overlanding trips, so I'll definitely be keeping those clamps, the jump starter cables, all that in my car, in the Jeep in case of emergency. And then it also came with these, which in the unboxing I showed as well. These can also be used to jumpstart the vehicle, but since it has the clamps, that seems a little simpler to me. You wouldn't have to unscrew the caps on the battery. So that's it. That's my rundown of this power station from Comvolt. I am excited to have my hands on a 3,000 watt-hour power station, especially since it doesn't take up too much space. I plan on keeping it in the truck bed. Our truck bed is enclosed, but that's where I plan on keeping it during our camping and overlanding trips. I have used it a couple times so far, but nothing fancy, just mainly using it for plugging in my camera or charging phones, stuff like that. Look back in a few months. I will plan on making a follow-up video, like I said, after I've used it a bit more and I can talk more about the use of it. Otherwise, that's all I've got for now. Hopefully you found this video helpful and maybe it found you a new power station you're interested in. I do have a link below for the power station. If you do have any questions, anything I didn't answer, please leave me a comment below and I will do my best to answer that. But yeah, hopefully you found this video helpful. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.